Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, and welcome to another episode of Big Decisions for Anfield Index. It is Wednesday, the 2nd of July. The Reds are back in action. Well, they're back in training, aren't they? 6 days today. It's still a while before they play that first game in Preston. Even before then, though, ladies and gents, there's talk of incomings, outgoings, the coaching situation. We got updates on that today. There's a million and one things going on for the Reds just now. I'm your host, Dave Davis, coming to you from a pretty weird Edinburgh because it's been pissing it down all day. But in the last 2 hours, the sun has come back with a vengeance, which is a bit annoying because it would have been nice earlier in the day when I was out and about. But such is life as it is at the moment. But big decisions. It's the one where we look at the three big topics. We make our calls. We make what we think's right. We talk about there's conjecture, there's discord. You will all disagree with each other's opinions, but such is the life of a Red. And funnily enough, where we start, we're not going to be talking about centre-halves for once. There's no talk about Mark Gay and that situation that seems to be developing. We're not even going to talk about the latest stories that's come out in the last hour or so. Suggestions that Liverpool and Bayern Munich and others are watching Castello Luqueba at Red Bull Leipzig. There's a name we've had before, back on the docket again. We're not going to really get into that. Not even Jarell Kwanzaa being confirmed today as departing to Bayer Leverkusen. A brilliant goodbye message, which I would recommend everyone has a read of. No, we're going to be talking about three things. Two down the left side, one down the middle, and maybe a cross between two when you look at it this way. So we'll get into it first of all. The Luis Diaz conundrum that Liverpool currently face. Some may argue it isn't a conundrum. Some may be it's closed now or thinking that way. But let's get into where we are with Luis Diaz because we had development this morning, didn't we? If you go back to the start of the month, Barcelona, as many reported, made contact over Luis Diaz. Liverpool rebuffed it. Liverpool shut it down, saying full well, we know they lowballed. Absolutely no chance. So that interest was deleted. That was removed. And then we had Pipe Sierra, didn't we, the other day? Now, there's a translation on there from Google, but as he had on his exclusive show, and I'm trying to think how many days ago was that? June the 26th, so just shy of a week, as he tweeted, Luis Diaz and his entourage are upset with Liverpool's silence. They feel the club has gone back on their word once again with the player, and that related to the contract renewal, didn't it? As it says there as well. Something similar had happened before with the renewal, and now there's the possibility of a transfer. Absolutely. Well, absolutely what? Because we got this update today, didn't we, this morning, from various sources that Liverpool, they say, have no intentions to negotiate. Bayern have been informed after Max Eberl, their sporting director, I think there, made an initial approach. There's still no agreement over a new deal. And with this one, I do wonder if it's almost a case of that Michael Edwards, Richard Hughes, whoever's in charge of this, are literally sat there answering calls, going, la na 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 na, la na 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 na, la na 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 na. Luis Diaz is from Baranchas, and he's not for fucking sale. But is he? Is he? That's the real question, because we keep hearing this, and they've shut the phone down on Barca. They've shut the phone down on Bayern Munich. But you do have real questions about this. And other things just that came out this morning. Paul Gorst had it in his article, because Luis Diaz wages have been a talk for a while, haven't they, in all honesty? But actually, the suggestions are that he's on around 140,000 a week, according to Paul Gorst. So that kind of put to bed that, what was it, 55k, I think the suggestions were from some sources. So it's not a bad deal, but the contract situation seems to be the major thing right now for Luis Diaz. And when we look at this, all the chips are on his side of the table. Oh, sorry, Liverpool side of the table. Let's just correct that. Sorry, Liverpool side of the table. As in, he's got 2 years left to go. Yes, he absolutely is 28 years old. So that comes into the mix. And the one thing I would say, if they do keep Luis Diaz, right this moment in time, and I'm not saying he's the same player by any means, but he ticks the versatile forward boxes. So that's in the mix, number one. And number two, I would also say that, I'm phrasing this carefully, he's produced Mane-esque numbers last season. I'm not saying he's Sadio Mane, but as quite a few have suggested, Mane-esque numbers for the first time. And I don't want to rewrite history on this, because if you look at the tale of Luis Diaz last season, across the two biggest competitions, 16 goals, 5 assists, 21 goal contributions. But there were peaks and troughs, weren't they? Because he was banging them in for fun at the start of the season. We all remember that double at Old Trafford, don't we? That was brilliant. Then there was that big run in the middle where there was nada. And then there was the run at the end. A real, as I say, peak and trough season. But ultimately, it was Mane-esque numbers. I don't think you can deny that at all. I am torn on this, because if you keep him, I still think he's one of the best forwards in the league. I really do. I think it's so hard to get a player who can play two positions like he does and have that impact or that record, that output, whatever you want to describe it as. I mean, even in other things, news, we talk about his replacement. I mean, Miguel Delaney had this earlier today, that Liverpool are in the running for Malik Fofana, the Belgian player, left wing, can play right wing as well. And look at that, Arsenal, Chelsea, Fulham, Bayern and Napoli. Also, important to say that Nottingham Forest have started the bidding there. 51.5 million, 60 million euros it translates as. So people are looking at that as the potential replacement. And even now, as you look at the chat panel as well, this is mixed. You see Biram there saying the context, his goals aren't spread out enough. Well, as I said, Biram peaks and troughs start and the end of the season. He scores in bunches, little spurts. And they did dry up, exactly like I said, for that middle period. So I wouldn't say they're misleading. It's just the full context, which I did lay out behind there as well. Anfield Road, though, coming on the other side, they're saying excellent value for money wage-wise, great option up front. Just if Diaz wants a new deal, might want to move him on. Yeah, Fofana 60 million, John Henry. They're saying too much for a relegated club, though. I think what it ultimately comes down to for me is a couple of things. That, I mean, if it is to be Malik Fofana, you look at the kid, he's got ability, but he is raw. He is in the French league. He is a carrier. Again, 98th percentile for progressive carries against comparable players. Some that we well know, like Anthony Gordon, Garnacho, Madueke, a lot of Premier League comparisons there. But again, and I'm not trying to be derogatory about the French league at all, but across Ligue 1 and the Europa, 11 goals, 5 assists. I think the ceiling for this kid is huge, absolutely, and he has versatility. But to come in right now, and this is if it is him, by the way, and replace Luis Diaz, Gakpo and Fofana, maybe Wirtz, as we said, might be going in from the left, like a little bit like he did with Leverkusen. We're unsure on that. But ultimately, I think it comes down to one thing which people are suggesting, and it's this. Saudi and Al Nassr. As Ben Jacobs tweeted earlier, I mean, he's been tweeting about this for a while, hasn't he? That he is the top target. They're yet to make an approach to Liverpool, despite viewing Díaz as their top winger target. It would take a crazy offer now for Liverpool to reconsider what is a firm and consistent, not for sale position. Now, it is a bit of a weird one with this. We know Barca lowballed. The Bayern inquiry, the Bayern offer, I'm going to be honest, not managed to get it stood up. Had it from an excellent source that the amount that it was a very low ball offer, but not had that stood up yet. So, waiting to get that confirmed. But if it is a low ball offer, well, it was a low ball offer from Barca. It is a suspicion of a low ball offer from Bayern. It does feel like Liverpool are almost saying to Luis Diaz, we will sell you for what we consider is a reasonable offer. I know people are going to jump in now and say, oh, not for sale. Come on, people. 28 years old, 2 years left to go, not getting a contract renewal. For the right money, this for me has still got stay or Saudi written all over it. I really mean that. I do think it's all going to be whether Al Nassr will come in, as in if they do get the buy-in from Luis Diaz, because they will offer him huge money. Of course they will. Absolutely massive money. But it's whether he wants to step into that at the same time. I am uncertain on this. I have to be honest. We call it big decisions. We've got to make a call. Before, I'd have said confidently that Luis Diaz is heading out of Liverpool. And I did always think it would be Liverpool pushing him towards Saudi because of the money and what that would mean. I still lean towards that now. But at the same time, I do now just get the suspicion that it might not happen. I would still bet on it. That's still my big decision. I still think this summer, Luis Diaz does end up at Saudi, for sort of say speaking to other people as we do on Anfield Index, but it's all about whether the player buys into it. I do think Liverpool are manoeuvring carefully on the basis of rejecting any low ball offers, putting it out there that he's not for sale, but he's not one of Liverpool's untouchables. He's not in that category, not for 1 second. He is not a Van Dijk. He is not a seller or any of those untouchables. For the right money, I don't care about the public not for sale line. Liverpool will sell Luis Diaz. For me, it is literally as straightforward as that. But that's the latest developments, isn't it? They have rejected an inquiry from what we hear and still got to get it verified, a low ball offer. But we'll see if the Saudis come in for Luis Diaz. This one could just rumble a while.